Today we're going to be starting off a new series I'd like to call Classic Cameras. And the first camera we will look at is this, the Sigma DP1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes.
So hello, welcome back to Matt's Notes, where we look at new gear, old gear, phones and drones, anything technology related. I want to give you a different perspective on that gear. And today we're talking about the DP1, and it's not the Merrill, it's the original foveon stack sensor. So that is a 14 megapixel sensor made up of 3 different sensors, each of which are about 4.6 megapixels. Okay, so before we get to the hands-on part of the video, I'd like to run down the specs. Aperture of f4, stack sensor as I've said, fixed focal range of about 28 millimeters, but it says 16.6. That's because it's a compact camera, but the sensors rather, are slightly larger than your average compact camera. So this body style isn't really my favorite, but you might like it. One thing I do like, however, is how easy it slides in and out of your pocket because it is basically all metal. There's no rubber gaskets. And you have these little tactile bumps to kind of keep it in your hand. I have literally no idea why I came out here just for the intro. There's no usable pictures. Lighting sucks. Why is this thing covered with mud? Alright, so whatever you've heard about the Sigma DP1, it's probably true. Oh, I almost fell. I mean, for the most part, it's pretty slow. It's not that good in low light. But I mean, what would you expect from a camera that's over a decade old at this point? All right, super scientific speed test of the Sigma DP1, starting now. Startup time, 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000. All right, this part doesn't count. I have to line up my shot. 1/1000, 2/1000, 3. My Mississippi's were off. So yeah, the Sigma is a little bit slow between shots with about a 2 or 3 second bake speed before you're ready to shoot again, but it does have a continuous shooting mode, but it caps out at 3 shots before it has to start baking again. Expect that from an older sensor camera, I guess, and it's a foveon on top of that. So just keep that in mind if you're street shooting. And another thing to keep in mind when you're out there is it is a fixed f4 aperture and a foveon sensor, so it doesn't do so hot in low light unless you have a little tripod with you and some patience and a slow moving subject, or not moving at all, unless you're going for light trails. But now I'm going down a different trail. Speaking of trails, let's keep walking. A little bit of storm chasing right now, incidentally. Tornado watch, trying to get some lightning pictures, some farm pictures, and I guess long exposure, because the Sigma doesn't do so well in low light unless, with an asterisk, you are doing long exposure. So that's what we're doing. Trying to get a shot of light. Oh. Now it handles well. I would say the only thing I would like to add is a grip to this, and I think it'd be perfect. One thing that kind of bothers me is the dated LCD on the back. It's hard to get an actual readout of the colors and exposure, but I'll trust what the camera's trying to do. So we'll keep on this nice rainy walk and see what else we can get. Alright, so we got the Sigma on a tripod, and we're going to do some light trails. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump. And you're
right face. That's all. Well, what if you don't? What if you find?
So the screen's not that good on this camera. Kind of sucks to focus at night, so I'd pop it into infinity and hope for the best if you plan to shoot this in low light. Could you do me a favor? Could you go stand in with that leaf, that bush? Oh, hold on. That's actually kind of nice. So let me close out this video by giving you some pros and cons of the Sigma DP1. And I'm going to start out with the cons because I don't want to end it on a sour note. First off, the screen on the back is such a low resolution that it could be hard to see what's in and out of focus. This could be worked around though if you get an optical viewfinder. If you do that though, the camera loses a lot of its portability unless you want to just lug it around like that. Number two, this camera's not the best in low light. It's an f4 aperture and a stacked sensor. Sigma cameras aren't known for being the best in low light in general. Doesn't mean you can't get a good shot with it. Keep it at space ISO, get a tripod, and have some patience, and you'll come out with some pleasing results. On a similar topic, if you point this thing towards any kind of light, you're going to get these weird rectangles all over your screen. Forget lens flare, you're going to have a party of rectangles attacking your image. And if you want that, pick up this camera and have a rectangle party. And if you don't, I still think you should get this camera, just don't point it towards any direct sunlight or light sources. Now my last con is that this camera is just slow. Not because it's old, it's just slow in general. Foveon sensors and Sigma cameras aren't known for being the fastest in the world anyways, especially with their buffer rate. Again, if you have some patience and know-how, you can come out with some fantastic images, which that brings me to my pros. First off, the images you get with this are second to none. You can't get these kinds of colors with the normal bare sensor you find in any camera these days unless you have a lot of time in post-production. But out of the camera, what you get with this is magnificent looking. And the files are pretty easy to stretch and bend in post-production. Again, as long as you keep it around its base ISO under 200, you'll be a-okay to go there. Another pro is you have a crop sensor right in your pocket. So you have a big old sensor you can just slide into your pants. And that's always a good thing. The last pro would be the layout. Now, I wasn't initially feeling this kind of stippling with no rubber because I thought it would slip out of my hands. I still think that way. But I guess it's nice because it's easier to slide in and out of your pockets if you're a street shooter or just looking for something more portable. So yes, that is it for the Sigma DP1. Thank you for bearing with me, and I hope you enjoyed this. And again, subscribe to my Instagram if you want to see more examples of images using the Sigma DP1. They're going to be compressed, but it's not about the compression, it's about the composition. Thank you for watching this, and I will see you next week. And we're going to be looking at this camera as well, which has failed me because it's overheated. It's the G7X3, so stay tuned.